Good day and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. This week is all about those who have been working hard at their AI creations, and I forgot two kinds of recommended games for last week, so I'll be doing them again. And I'll have a couple of them lined up for today, so without further ado, let's start with TSCMU and Crazio, then we'll have that out of the way. And it was recommended by Crazio, and well, he has been known to recommend games where the opponent has been fighting well. And of course, if you got TSCMU, Terran and Crazio, that's two top bots, which will surely provide us with a good game. Also, we hope, could also be something going horribly wrong, and then we'll have to suffer a little bit, and we can speed it up and hop on to the next one. So, of course, Crazio suffering a little bit from TSCMU random, because TSCMU is, well, playing 3 races and Crazio versus random does some kind of potato opening which doesn't really work or do pretty much anything, which is kind of a shame, because it would be a little bit more dominant if it would deal with that more appropriately. And now we see a couple of... oh, sorry, that's a bit too... lackluster casting. We see a bit of vulturing going on, TSCMU laying mines in tight groups. I like that, and still in the path towards the enemy. Now some more vultures hitting the road and mining it up. Wow, that's pretty... that's almost an icebot level of mining. That is... oh no, it's a couple of them are off, but there is some kind of a grid, so that's nice. Now, TSCMU a little bit later with the natural, Crazio with the quick natural, of course with the scouting building and the wraith for some air recon. And TSCMU's only got these vultures, so it will take a while before these Goliaths arrive. And TSCMU thinks, well, let's just start a natural and be done with it. For those of you worrying that I might be sick again, that is fortunately not the case. I'm still struggling with the aftermath of the Dutch flu, but this voice problem I am suffering from today has got more to do with... oh, look at that tank fight. Wow, that's a lot of damage. Has got more to do with a glorious night out last night. At my age, that takes its toll on one. TSCMU going forward with the natural, supply-wise a little bit behind, tech-wise, well, should be okay, nothing too spectacular. Crazio, of course, already has the starport and is building some more wraiths, building a couple of turrets as well. And for the rest, just building buildings as usual. So, oh dear, this one tank, one barracks action is one more shot. Okay, we'll take the marine, that's always worth a lot of points. Crazio trying to harass, but with the Goliaths at the front. And there were more Goliaths, I was sure, but they seem to have gotten lost. Oh, here are 3 pursuing a wraith, and TSCMU's vulture weapon is itself harassed by the wraith, and of course the vultures of Crazio. So won't do too much. Crazio now rolling up the tanks, and TSCMU always a little bit more harassy, but is now suffering from these pricks by the wraiths, and there are quite some wraiths already, so that's interesting. The floating barracks is being chased back, and the wraiths are keeping the vultures in check again. There is one here, but now Crazio is rolling up the tanks and is looking at something of a contain. This tank sticks in its neck a little bit too far and is cut down. Same goes for this one, and I don't really know what's up with Crazio's tanks. Normally they don't really do that. And that's the third for Crazio. TSCMU starting a third as well. And now Crazio's rolling up the tanks one at a time, and they just get pressured so much by TSCMU, because TSCMU is always running in and out with the vultures and the Goliaths and whatnot. So that's cool. And I'm sure I saw a Valkyrie somewhere. I will keep an eye on it. Nice counter to the wraiths, but it's oh dear, Crazio without any kind of supporting units. Oh, we've got two Valkyries now, and TSCMU seems to have the better of the tank battle, and Crazio seems not to be repairing at all, and that may be costly, because this tank could be saved for a little bit of money. and well, quite a substantial amount of money because it's nearly dead. You can just see its last sliver of health here, but it can't really get too much done. TSMU starting a third in an aggressive location, same can be said for Crazio, but at least you've got 2 rams here you can defend until there is air. And this base is rather more open. For the time being, Crazio 10 supply ahead with the floating buildings, and the Wraiths is keeping TSMU locked. But then again, it's not that bad, because there is these bridges TSMU has control of, and TSMU can also hit this third of Crazio's. And meanwhile starting a fourth, but that's found out by a couple of vultures, and I'm sure TSMU will soon cancel this. There is a small band of vultures hitting the natural of Crazio, going after the one Goliath that's there. There is a tank as well, Goliath from the rear coming, Wraiths are coming, the turret is being repaired, and the Wraiths and the tanks really clean it up, and that's another 10 points down for TSMU. And TSMU doesn't seem to be aware that there is a third over here. Some small air skirmish going on, but not too impressive. Crazio taking a lot of damage on this eBay, but that's not the worst, because an eBay is only 125 minerals and you can build them practically for free in any decent TVT. There is one tank defending this fourth base from Crazio. TSMU's fourth up as well with the tank defense, and both players seem to be mimicking each other's builds. Now it will all be down to positioning. TSMU with a nice 3 group of Valkyries. Valkyries don't really do too much, except take a lot of damage, and that can be quite costly. They are more expensive than these floating buildings. But then again, they also have the potential to do a little bit of damage. But Crazio's air units are a little bit behind the lines because he's got the scouting from these buildings. And now TSMU is pressuring at the third of Crazio's. There is, however, there is still the tank, and of course Goliath came out to help. Nice bit of air bubbling going on by TSMU. Crazio not really trying to hit, and TSMU trying to set up another front here. I think that's a good decision, because if you split the map like this, you've got the middle base already, and if you can keep the front over here, you can also cut off this base, or these 2 bases really, and that will be your definitive advantage into the game. Now Crazio is about to, well, has a lot of force for a big push, but it's not really working, and both players now going at it with the defensive Matrix raids, Matrix tanks, and that's really the level of TVT these 2 players are at. Crazio could be a little bit better with the repair SUVs, because this tank's really getting really low. Oh, TSMU brought a battle cruiser to a tank fight. That's always a good idea, and Crazio really hasn't got that much in the way of anti-air. There is a turret over here, a couple of Goliaths, a couple of raids, but for the time being this battle cruiser can do a lot, and I think with, oh dear, that's TSMU's getting really strong in the air. Crazio's got more on the ground, but that's not really working for him at the moment. Now TSMU pushing with the tank, with the Valks, and of course the one battle cruiser. Question is, are more coming? I don't know. Crazio has slipped through, broken this one tank contain, and has now free range of the middle of the map. Takes the middle base of TSMU, and TSMU is in a little bit of danger to get these 2 bases cut off. If it's that should occur, then TSMU would be in a little bit of trouble. But this is a nice tank line, and that is the TVT we all love and enjoy. Just masses of tanks. Oh dear, that's pretty ballsy. A doubly matrixed battle cruiser taking down one Goliath, and a matrixed Valkyrie taking some shots at the science vessel. But the science vessels are repaired, so I think Crazio is on top of the repair, but it's just the priorities which don't extend themselves to tanks. That's the problem. And this battle cruiser can really take a pounding with 2 matrices. That's really impressive. TSMU's got quite a cloud of science vessels that may come in handy, because as the supplies get maxed, these science vessels can add a lot of hit points in the form of defensive matrix. And of course matrix doesn't cost any supply. Now Crazio coming in with the pincer move, and TSMU is struggling to set up any kind of defense. Lots of vultures over here, 2 battle cruisers, but the tank line is really rather thin. And TSMU has... Where is the army? Because that's really... There are more battle cruisers coming. We've got one here. I thought I saw two over there. And the battle cruisers now are roaming the tanks. There was only one Goliath. Crazio's way overdoing this on tanks. And now we've got 3 battle cruisers, 2 of them matrixed, and only a handful of Goliaths to protect them. So TSMU can get a little bit back on Crazio, but Crazio's maxed. He's got a lot of income, and has now taken the middle base as well. So TSMU would rather pull some rabbit out of its hat with these battle cruisers. Otherwise, it's going to be a hard fight. And Crazio, what a huge army it's got. Lots of workers. And generally, it's in human TVT, you would expect to see a couple of them sacrificed to get more army supply out. And you can also see both players not really wanting to harass. It's all about this large war of attrition. Crazio with a huge front with Goliaths in the rear. TSMU with a nice battlecruiser fleet. I don't know how effective that is. Might do some repairs. But with all the Yamatos, I think you can be quite effective and have a small peak. Hasn't got the energy upgrade, so that will give me an estimate of how many battlecruisers do have a Yamato ready. But if you've got this map split and then you've got a lot of battlecruisers, you can do wonders with the Yamato, because you can then just trade income for energy, or trade energy for income if you're on the shooting end of the Yamato fight. And Crazio's losing quite a bit of tanks to the Yamatos, but in the end it doesn't really matter because Crazio's got so much money. TSMU's now max 2. Crazio trying with a little bit of a sidestep into this region. 2 more battlecruisers. TSMU's really letting loose with all the battlecruisers it can find, but these Goliaths are doing so much damage, and that's not really a fight you want to get into. 1 tank for TSMU, but I think it's going to fall, and then these 2 bases will be badly exposed. And wow, that's a lot of battlecruisers. TSMU has got 9 battlecruisers, and for the rest it's producing a lot of SCVs, vultures and other units. And wow, that's really spending your money. But Crazio has now taken control of the bridges, and this push over here is just tearing this natural to pieces. TSMU trying to rebuild a couple of factories, but I think you are going to need a couple of tanks to stop this onslaught. There is 1 tank over here. We've got a couple of battlecruisers, but that only means that these battlecruisers will not be available to help and defend the natural and the main base. Crazio is on the advance, and TSMU is losing supply rapidly. Is also in some pecuniary difficulties. Oh, that's a lockdown. Hello, where is the ghost? Oh dear, I missed that. That's unforgivable. Sorry. We've got a matrixed and lockdown battlecruiser, and Crazio is killing it for just for good measure. And these Goliaths, their anti-air damage is so imbalanced, and Crazio looks to have the well, the longer end of the stick. TSMU can't really get anything done. These science vessels clump up in the top left corner, and although this tank line over here is still in position, there is such a lot of green coming, and that's going to be the bloody nightmare that TSMU is going to find itself in, because there is really no income left. There are wraiths over this base already. This base is shot to pieces, and it's just a handful of Goliaths which are doing it. Oh, and Crazio now going for the silo. Unfortunately, it will not nuke. It's not in this in its program, so to speak. The silos are there, some kind of a vestige, but well. Okay, let's speed it up just a notch. Let's see how Crazio is going to deal with this. And TSMU, of course, with the defender's advantage, can do quite well, but in the end, the disparity is in income and money, and TSMU is really almost out of money, trying to get stuff done at this base, but it's not really working. And by now, it's 91 versus 195 supply. And although this base is still mining, Crazio's got 1, 2, 3, 4, got the rest of the bases mined. The middle base is already sort of mined out. And now this army is pushing down the natural, and although the third is holding-ish with a couple of air units and a tank, isn't really working at this point, that is going to be the GG. And you can see how this is going. Okay, so I'm going to call the GG. Crazio wins 1 over TSMU. Oh, we've got another one. And I must pardon for having too much Crazio. That's in the recommended games. In the next bit we'll have all the bots which have been updated, and that will feature a lot less Crazio, because Crazio hasn't really posted an update in quite a while. And being the number one, we can sort of surmise how it's going to do versus most of the bots. So other than the really top, it's not really all that interesting to watch Crazio play, because it's very impressive, but it will just crush the opponent with impeccable macro and lots of siege tanks. So well, let's see how Cherry Pie is going to do. And I really would have liked to see Crazio in last year's finals, because I think Cherry Pie would have had a hard fight versus Crazio, and I therefore glad that this game was recommended to me as well, because Crazio and Cherry Pie are top bots, and that's all that can be said about them. Cherry Pie not really overly aggressive at this point, going for a rather defensive play. Another in-base hatchery, and then you've got 3 hatcheries, a nice number of drones, 15, going for the extractor, going for a lot of sunkens, and I think perhaps that's in anticipation of some kind of a bio push. Well, no bio push coming, I think, because Crazio's going for the first factory and the second one will be done momentarily. A couple of turrets, we see the Spire. Crazio must have seen that or guessed it. And now Crazio also seeing the Lings with its floating eBay, and that's really such an advantage, this floating building use, and a Crazio is still the only Terran which does that. But right now we've got a couple of Vultures with the Lings, and both of them have got speed, so the Vultures can basically out-micro the Zerglings quite handily. Cherry Pie took the 3rd base and built the Hydroden in an interesting position, going for, I think, a Spire, and lots of workers at only 1 at this base. This saturation is also very high, and well, it's a nice, it's got some great decision making, but its basic build order is rather, well, it's Hydras and Mutas, and then it's really not building either of them. For now we've only got an army supply of about 6. Crazio's taking its sweet time getting an army together as well, so that may be the saving grace of Cherry Pie. If this had been some kind of a bio push, a game would have been over already. Oh, and that is something you'd like to avoid. Only move out with Hydras if you got the right number to be able to snipe mines. Might take some time, but it would be worth it. And have we got any upgrades for the Hydras? Yeah, we got speed, we got +1 weapons coming up, and we've got missile range for Crazio, because Crazio right now has got these 2 comm sets, will be scanning the enemy, and of course has seen the Spire. Might be prudent to hide that in some other base, but Crazio just scans everything, and well, that's not really fair, but what can you do, filthy Terrans? And Crazio now roaming the map, placing some mines at expansions, that old Terran trick. And getting a nice army together, but really do well to keep into contact with the enemy, because if Cherry Pie can get its 3 base thing going, the saturation, there should be some drone balancing operation. Now the Vultures have some opposition from 1 Muta, a couple of Zerglings, and that's really Cherry Pie, because it's strange. We've got Hydras, we've got Mutas, we've got Zerglings, but neither in sufficient numbers. We've still only got 20 army supply, and it's counting that it can contain Crazio, but Crazio's already got the 3rd, a couple of mines, a couple of Goliaths. It would be wise, perhaps build a bunker, because versus a Zerg, if you have a bunker and a depot with perhaps a fire bat and a tank, that can hold quite a lot. Now Cherry Pie going for a 4th. And this, as a Terran, you have got to stop the build-up of this Zerg. Well, it's not really a death ball, it's really a death blanket. There are going to be so many units soon, because Cherry Pie's keeping up with Crazio and workers, and in Zerg versus Terran you normally never see that. And that only means that Cherry Pie's got this huge production capacity at its disposal once this 4th base is up. And especially since it's got a tendency to build extra hatcheries at expansions. This Vulture though is really doing a job, and there is no kind of defense coming up, so could do quite well in the long run. Couple of drones coming out to fight, but in this point you just plop down one sunken and you won't be at the mercy of a single vulture. Oh, and finally it gets caught and destroyed. And Crazio, and that is, well, could be improved. Oh, sorry. Oh dear, no, oh well, I reset it. I can't scroll again. Crazio doesn't really see that this is defenseless, so if I had one vulture killing 10 drones here and the vulture got killed by a lot of drones, I'd send another couple of vultures to make sure it's done. And I'd also send some to this base. But now Cherry Pie is trying to grind its nose into the Terran phalanx, but that's bound to result into an unpleasant feeling, at least. And Crazio with the Goliaths, have we got any upgrades? Yeah, we've got the +1 weapons. They are doing quite well versus Hydras and Zerglings, so you can see this poor Hydra, as soon as it faces a couple of Goliath shots, it drops down to half HP, and that's quite a lot already. Cherry Pie coming round the bend with a couple of Mutas, but this Vulture is still faster, so God, that doesn't really work. Otherwise than occupying a couple of Mutas. And that is some kind of cleverness that you, as a coder, should teach your bot, that you can't really waste too much time on chasing units which are faster or have an equal speed. That's very situational, where it would make sense if you were encountering the edge of the map. It would be better. And now a nice handful of Mutas with the Zerglings taking down 2 Goliaths. That's good, but in the meanwhile, lots of Zerglings being wasted, and Zerglings right now are not really the right choice. And now Cherry Pie's got this 4th operational, but Crazio's got 3 bases, lots of tech and a bunker. Yes, there you go. Very solid play by Crazio. And Cherry Pie is struggling. The army is tiny. There is no real tech. It's Muta, Hydra, Zergling. And that only works if you've got a large army and you can splash it around. If you've got 40 army supply versus nearly double that of Terran, and you are contained like this, it's not really going to work. 5th base coming up, and Cherry Pie's one chance is to surround this base. Oh, this is not looking good for Cherry Pie at all. Would be to surround this base from all sides, and once this army is in this exact position fighting the Sunkens, then you swoop in from 2 or 3 sides and try to kill it. This base up as well, but not defended at all, so some vultures are coming in to kill drones, and this base is sort of shut down. The Mutas are still there, but they can't really get anything done, and now they come out to play, but I think there are... Oh no, all the Goliaths are dead, so now these tanks can be sawn to pieces. That's very well done. The Mutas are really overactive, but in the end, I think they will get it done, and with a little bit of Zerglings, yeah, they do it. Oh, and I totally missed that. Oh, sorry, let me rewind. Here is Crazio's Contain, and the Mutas are coming to come off the defense to the offense to take down these 3. And what now happens to this army? A couple of drones will be sacrificed, that's not working. And Cherry Pie is not using its army fruitlessly. It's waiting until these defensive structures are gone, now plowing into Crazio with a lot of Mutas, a lot of Zerglings. And make no mistake, although a lot of Mutas are falling, the Zerglings are doing the damage. So if you can breach the gap between the tanks and the Zerglings, you are basically golden. And now at one fell swoop, Cherry Pie clears the 3rd base, its 3rd base and the natural, killing a lot of tanks, a lot of units, and Crazio now on the back foot. Cherry Pie only got 23 army supply. That's not the world because it's got a good income, although a lot of drones got killed over here. Crazio losing a science vessel, and has got quite a good position in the middle of the map with a couple of tanks and a couple of Goliaths. That's good. Cherry Pie really careless with his bases, just not defending them at all. If you look at this base, anything dropped here will just be as deadly as ever. Where is that? Oh, it's... Oh, there is... Judging on the minimap, there is a dropship flying, but the overlay of OpenBW is to... in normal Brood War, you've got this kind of an overlay over here, and at the bottom of the map that doesn't really compute anymore. So Crazio with the new contain is now 100 versus 41 army supply. Cherry Pie on the back foot again, trying to plow into the Terran army, breaching the gap once again, but this time the Lings got absorbed by the tank fire and the Goliath fire. So that didn't really work, and that cost Cherry Pie a lot of money. This base has been taken down again. This base is still mining, but it's not really got any kind of tech. And the Hydra Den is going to fall. So Crazio taking this game too, and that is why it is such a good piece of AI. It's so very resilient, it doesn't make any mistakes, it macros like a champion, and if you let it off the hook, it will take the map and it will know everything. And it's in that respect, it's a little bit like Google. It will just know anything, and that's the GG. So running another game with Cherry Pie, and this is Egbert, and now I know it's Egbert because to pronounce it like Egbert, because Javier, the author of Egbert from the University of Carlos III in Madrid, sent me a link, and it's some kind of an old English king, and of course props must be given to Javier to oh god, to pick the spelling variation with the most incomprehensible consonants in it. But he's been working hard, and that needs to be said. So let's see how it's going to play out. Cherry Pie starting with the hatch first, then the depot, and oh dear, that is the command center is being repaired, but there's not really nothing's being done about this drone. So Cherry Pie did manage to steal some mining time and well, do some damage as well, which has to be paid for, of course. Now with a bunker on the high ground, a couple of marines, and I think versus a Cherry Pie a bio build could be very good. And Cherry Pie really playing rather defensively, and that's that's very expensive, because if you've got 19 workers, that's a lot of workers. That is really a lot of workers. Cherry Pie does not believe in having too little workers. But that's 4 workers and then 125 minerals per sunken colony in building cost. Now Egbert going for a couple of medics. Nice turret at the ramp, so you'd be somewhat safe from DTs and lurkers and whatnot. Cherry Pie doesn't do lurkers. That's a bit no, well, that would have been nice. And Cherry Pie scraping by with a very small army again, and now it's running back, trying frantically to produce an army, I must assume. 4th base started, and the question is, can it stop the army of Egbert? Because the army of Egbert is three times the size of that of Zerg, and there are Stimp Marines and medics, and they can do quite nasty things to a Zerg, like completely kill it. And in that kind of situation you need good upgrades. Well, good upgrades appear to be there, but Cherry Pie doesn't really have a concept of computing the medic value and stim in this combat simulator. Now the sunken field is coming into play. 1 Muta is coming to sacrifice its life. A couple of Zerglings coming off to help him fight, but at this point you'd be just as well off dealing with this army by letting the Sunkens have a go at it. 4th base is up from Cherry Pie, but this base is under siege, and what can it do? It's only got 3 army supply. Unit should stay out of the way, but this this Stim Bio army is just too powerful. The Lings though running in, doing a lot of damage, but with the constant reinforcement. Oh, there is no constant reinforcement. So if units are lost, it will be hard to replenish them, otherwise just move them over from this side of the map. Cherry Pie has got a lot of Hydra, well, hatcheries planned, and will need a lot of Zerglings, and has got a lot of Zerglings, and now kills the tank, which will take a little bit out of the bite out of this army. But the next wave is prepping already, and has already got 28-30 supply. But now Cherry Pie has got this worker lead, 4 bases versus the 1 of Egbert, and Egbert had really rather supported that push, I think. because now it's going to have to move all over again. And Cherry Pie has got 5 hatches here, 1 there, only 1 here, and 3 there. So that's 3, and those aren't hatches surely. 3, 4, and 5, 9, 10 hatcheries. And that is a lot of army potential. And look at, I'll keep this down to normal speed. Army size is 11 now, but with 46 drones behind this, no natural steal from Egbert. And these Zerglings are waiting to pounce on these tanks. They might actually run in because the tanks are pretty exposed. And this bio blob, a couple of lurkers would have checked it all. And now the Sunkens are gone, so that's very unfortunate. Cherry Pie starting, I think it's a lair, building more hatcheries, but it's got so many larvae already. I think that the hatchery script is somewhat out of control, and Egbert is going in for the kill. Look at the damage these Stint Marines are doing, and they've got range, they've got +1. Would it be nice to see a science facility, but because +3/+3 Stim Bio with any kind of decent micro is so deadly in any kind of ZV, TVZ, and especially in AI TVZ, because you can do so much. There is so much potential in damage. With just 1 dropship, 6 Marines, and 2 medics can take out bases. Egbert now starting another base, and Cherry Pie fighting for what it's worth, but its worth is diminishing. The army is 4 times as small as that of Egbert at the moment, and these Stimp Marines are really doing the numbers on these poor Zergs. And Cherry Pie with a lot of hatcheries, but it really can't get its army strength up to specs, and now it's going to have to pay the price for that. And now there is no army gathering anymore, it's just going to be reinforcing its push. And Cherry Pie trying to attack it from 2 sides, but if you got 2 medics blocking the bridge and a couple of medics blocking this side of the bridge, these tanks and Marines are nigh invulnerable. And although you've got a lot of Zerglings, they basically end up in tomato sauce at the foot of the bridge. And then all your beautiful hatches are going to get shot to pieces. Oh dear. More lings are needed, but that's just not a viable position to attack, and this wavering by the lings isn't really working either. Basically just gather a large number of lings here, left and right, run them in and go for it. Now they let off from this base, so a couple of the lings now might run in and kill these 3 Marines. Yep, here they come. Took some time to find out where the main army was off to. The main army, though, was now right in the main, and it's a good thing. Well, of course, all the hatches are there in the income, but there is nothing crucially important in the main for Cherry Pie. Big problem, though, it's only got 2 bases, and it's got no technology at all. So, what can it build? And it is now building a lot of drones. So, yeah, that's a good decision. But you'd also be well advised to try and build a spawning pool to restart your army production. And this is obviously not going to work. It's just building drones for all it's got. And Egbert taking the game, so that's well done. It's really rather slow on the macro. Now it's got 3 bases running and really a little bit lacking production capacity, so the money will be pretty high. And Cherry Pie is trying to restart, or is restarting actually, now with 2 bases. That's pretty good. And it's got 1.5 army supply, so it's still in this game. Oh, never mind, here comes the Terran Death Crane, and that pretty much was the game. So GG, Egbert take down Cherry Pie. And we go into the next game, which is Chris Cokes versus Microwave. Hey, Microwave been working hard as well. I've got some more games of that Gentlebot later on. And Zerg versus Chris Cokes. Oh, very impressive. Now, Microwave hitting Chris Cokes with a couple of Zerglings, and Chris has got 2 lings, only 2 lings, more lings for Microwave are coming, but has got a Sunken, so that's okay. And Cokes, or Triple Z K-Bot as the bot's called, is going for a rather quick lair. first Ling on Ling action, and oh, Cherry Microwave lost the Ling there. That's very unfortunate. That's nice targeting by Chris Cokes, just trading Ling for Ling. Unfortunately, there are more Lings of Microwaves on the way. It's 2 hatches, just Lings, but Chris Cokes' SSCAIT, ooh, nearly took out a drone there, but didn't really succeed in the end. And the Zerglings are moving in and out. the hind Zerglings are not really catching up, so every time the front retreats, these in the rear seem to be retreating as well, and there is no conceivable advantage in patrolling this area, so that might be something that Micro DK should put some attention in, just get that straightened out. Now lots of Zerglings going after the drones. That's pretty well done, and all the drones are dying. All the mutas hit now, and that's really right in the nick of time. 2 drones pop for Chris Cokes. That's the last bit of minerals, but it's got 2 drones mining, and it's got 6 mutas out. And now Microwave is scrambling. It's got one spore. It's got the lair of its own, but what can you do? You can't aggress with only 1 spore and a handful of Zerglings. So SSCAIT with the E-hand timing of the muta spawn, now back on 4 workers, building workers for all it's worth. Here come the Lings again. The mutas are going after the spore is dead, and Microwave thinks, well, blast it, I'm just going to go after the drones, and just sending in all my Zerglings, going after the Sunken, and the Sunken falls. The mutas are not coming back. Oh, and a new spore is set up. And another, oh, that's not a spore, that must be a lair. Priority would be to save the drones, but in reality these Lings have so much more damage per second than these mutas. Here falls the pool, here goes the lair, and the mutas are still only finishing up with the units and doing a paltry bit of damage versus these buildings. So that's the GG. Microwave with the clutch decision to go for a base trade and getting it. So that's very well done. Congratulations. Last of the recommended games. Oh dear, it's Crazio again. And the opponent is Random Hammer. Now Crazio has got this thing versus random, but looks like it's only going to do something ridiculous versus TSMU and not versus all random bots. And Random Hammer is really Steam Hammer because it's going to play Zerg, and I don't know exactly how the Random Hammer, Zerg and Steam Hammer differ. But it's going to be a great game, and you can't see this because at the bottom right we've got the game progress bar, which I superimposed an overlay on. But it's going to be a really long game, and with these 2 high quality bots it's going to be a pleasure to cast that, I'm sure. So Crazio going for the quick factory, going for the eBay lifted immediately, being sent over towards the enemy. Lings running in and out, losing a couple of friends, and that's not good. You shouldn't really be doing that too much. Random Hammer going for quite a bit of hatcheries, but it's not. It's got a lot of money in the bank, and that you can better spend that. You just build another hatch or another base or some units. Try to do something with that. Oh, and now the lurkers, which I totally missed. Oh, hello. How could I do that? Rewind. Okay, so how can I be so stupid as to miss all the lurkers? Okay, these were Hydras. And I've got to say thank you to TSMU and Im42 again for making this beautiful OpenBW website where I can just cast this in high resolution and also rewind a replay. That's really brilliant. And now the lurkers are coming in, and there is no tank yet, so they're going to take down this poor turret. And now there is a tank, but it should be it should be really careful. The second comsat is only now finishing up. Now it's sieging, but it's only 1 tank versus about 5. There are still 5 lurkers, and that is going to be really painful. The tank is going to. Oh, and Crazio just ran out of a scan. There are 2 tanks, so with the high ground advantage, should lift this command center though. That could really work wonders. And every lurker which rears its ugly head will be blasted to pieces, so that's good. And it doesn't look like Random Hammer is actively supporting this push. Has got a lot of gas, has got, well, quite a number of workers. Crazy are really down on workers because it just lost that base. But it's got quite a good army. And I still hear one, oh, the lurkers underneath the Overlord. Makes it hard to target for the caster. And Crazio should be waiting for this one scan. And then it should kill the lurker. Oh, and now all the SCVs move back to base, but a couple of them do get killed. And the lurker dies. But Random Hammer's got this muta switch ready. Crazio is somewhat prepared. It's got a couple of turrets, which is okay. It's got some Goliaths as well. Waiting for money for another command center at the natural. And Random Hammer has got a 4th base started. Lots of drones. Army is really tiny. And that is, oh well, that's a very quick hive. So that's a fancy build by Random Hammer. Not really overdoing it with the combat units, but all crazy kinds of tech switches. And really keeping Crazio out of balance. But a little bit of army more might not have hurt at all. So if you're going to play Muta, just build 30 or something and just harass all over the place. And that's still something that could be improved upon by a Zerg bots, because as you can see, these Goliaths are over here. You could just fly in through here, kill the SCV. There is no turret. Oh, there is one here, but kill a lot of SCVs, kill this turret. And just make your way out, lose a couple of mutas, but there is so much damage potential, and these turrets here are fair game. If you just advance from here, kill these depots, you'll have to send some repair SCV or do something about that. Now Random Hammer is sticking its Hydras in a little bit too deeply, and that is going to cost it a lot of money in the end. Hydras do okay versus Goliaths. Don't do too well versus siege tanks, so that should not be attempted too often. Random Hammer has got a decent army, but it's all over the place and it's just being rallied from A to B. And this is no kind of contain. Crazio has got the natural up and running again. Main is not yet getting low, so Random Hammer had better be prepared to not let Crazio out of the box. And yeah, if it's only one Goliath, just A move and kill the poor thing. It's not so hard. But this Goliath can do way too much damage in the process, and that's just not good at all. Now Crazio roaming the map with a couple of vultures, that's good. There is no kind of defense at this base. Oh god, and why did I say that? As I say that. Oh, and this vulture is getting caught on its own mine. The links clear it up. But that's just one of these small little things. Just build one sunken over here, and not all your drones will get killed by one vulture. And if you've got one badly damaged Goliath, just kill it. Just go after it and kill it. And this is only 4, 5, 6 Goliaths. You've got a nice ball of mutas. Have you got any upgrades for these things? Wow, we've got a lot of upgrades. We've got ultra speed, ultra armor coming up. Lots of melee upgrades as well, muta upgrades. Wow, this is really Random Hammer pulling all the stops, trying to do some kind of contain army-wise. It's about equal. And with this large mutaflock, which has got quite good upgrades, I suppose. No, it hasn't got nearly an upgrade, no upgrade at all, to be more precise. But Crazy's got the 3rd up, and you've really got to hit that, because if you don't, a 3-base Terran called Crazio is a very hard thing to fight. And now plowing into this with 3 Ultras, a handful of Hydras, and a handful of mutas is not really going to work, is it? You just need to bring a more concerted effort to the table. Hit them all in one location, or hit them at multiple locations simultaneously, but not once here and then poke there and lose a couple of Ultras more and lose some Hydras and lose some mutas. You'll just bleed to death. Oh, and put a sunken up at this base, because that might really save a lot of drone lives. And Crazio going to harass with these vultures. Random Hammer has got as much income as Crazio at this point. Wow. That's really good. Crazio's main is getting low, so it will be back to 2 bases. Starting another base over here. Got a dropship. I don't know what it's going to do with an SCV, but we'll see. And now, oh, that's a lot of Hydras, but there are some tanks. And even 4 tanks can do in quite a number of Hydras, and this is awful. Random Hammer, tear down. No, that's hard to do, to decide to just take the command center and not bother about the tanks. That's not easy. Meanwhile, having to defend versus 2 vultures. And the Hydra is doing some damage, but then it forgets about the vulture again, and then some lings are being sent in. And then they forget again, and that's just not playing clean. And now Crazio is doing this base in as well. Has got a lot of bases. Main is now mined out, but if you've got 3 or 4 bases income, it's really hard to stop that. And Random Hammer now hitting the tanks with Zerglings and 1 Ultra, but then going after the turret. Why? There are no flying units, and that's more like it. But this 1 Ultra is just going to... That's throwing away a lot of money. And you'd better be prepared. If this army had been at this attack, it could have really done something. But it's just... Random Hammer is really randomly throwing units away while not harassing the basically defenseless bases of Crazio. And that's a lot of units. Oh, but Crazio now on the back foot. Really scrambling to get an army together. Only 38. And okay, there was a good bunker over here, a couple of tanks, a really nice position, flanking it with a couple of Goliaths, but more Ling Ultra coming in, and the Lings are doing so much damage. Look at them go. They've got the adrenal glands, they've got the speed, and that, oh wow, that base was torn down so quickly. The SCVs are going to die as well. This Ultra Ling army is all over the place. The natural is full of Zerg. And now Random Hammer has got this 70 supply army, and it is flowing to and fro, and Crazio looks like it has been broken. There is 1 tank left, but versus this kind of Zerg rampaging army, you've got to really keep your stuff together, and Crazio just hasn't got the stuff anymore. Random Hammer has been let on... Crazio let Random Hammer go on for way too long. Now it's got 74 drones, all the bases on the map. And this Ultra Ling army is one of the deadliest things in the world. The only thing that could actually improve it is a couple of well-placed swarms. Have we got well-placed swarms? Well, it doesn't look like it. Crazio's got all the upgrades, but hasn't got an army left anymore. We've got the Ultra Cavern. We have got no Defiler Mount. And without a Defiler Mount, it would be, well, nigh impossible to build Defilers unless you have some kind of lead hacks. Look at this army go. It's 120 army supply, and there is so much DPS in these Lings that's really beyond out of this world. Random Hammer is now maxed. If a Ling would kick it, then it could be built some more. Crazio trying to do what it can. It's the last Marine, and there is still 12 army supply. I wonder where that all is. There is 1 mine. What's Crazio got? Oh, it's got a little bit of an army over here in a dropship. And it's taking down one of the bases of Random Hammer. But the real problem is this. There is 117.5 army supply worth Ultra Ling in your main base. And they've got +3/+3, all the speed and weapon upgrades, the armor upgrades for the Ultras. And that's the game. Wow, that's really well played by... Or is it? What's Crazio got left? I am missing something. Oh, it's got these floating buildings, and there aren't any... yeah, there are a couple of Scourge. Question is, will Scourge be built? No, the rest of the supply is going into an Ultra and a Zergling. But that's the GG. Random Hammer taking down Crazio. And now let's go into the other games of today. Starting out... Oh god, okay, well we will do all the big guns first this game, not in the finale like I usually do. Microwave again versus Ironbot, and I just wanted to see what Ironbot has been up to. Ironbot hasn't been updated in quite a while. Igor Dimitrievich, its author, is busy, but of course it's still a very good bot. And I thought, well, let's see how Microwave is going to fare. This drone, oh well, I was about to say doesn't get in, but it did get in. And Microwave with the quick lair. And then another hatch. No, Hydra Den. Looks to be some kind of a lurker build. Small peak. No, nothing yet. And Iron really... Oh, well, here come the vultures finally. A very well placed sunken, must be said. Iron will try the run by. I think it does so on 3 vultures. Yeah, there you go. Oh, and one gets killed, but... Oh, and there is another sunken. Oh, that's very unfortunate. Who counts on such a thing? And lurker aspect is nearly done, so there will be lurkers soon. And if you don't mine this map up quickly, you're going to have to deal with the lurkers in a very difficult way. And that's not always easy, and I can't imagine there being some lurkers already. So with an overlord for scouting out these mines, no overlord speed yet, so it might take these lurkers a while to reach the enemy base. But for the time being, well, catching vultures with lurkers, that's not really a favourite sport of anyone. And these 4 lurkers are trying to kill this one vulture while the hydras and the zerglings are being caught by these vultures in the tank. That's pretty good. And oh, now they've hit the enemy base, so that's pretty dangerous. Taking down the depot, and there isn't really a tank yet. And of course there is a turret, there are more turrets. These 3 lurkers are not really doing anything. Building another sunken, so should be pretty safe. And a couple of muters as well, so that's... And we saw that with a random hammer. These tech switches, lurker into muter and then back into something else. For a Terran that's really hard to deal with, because normally the deciding moment for other bots than these 2 Zerg, which I have now seen it from, are much more like see a muter, go all out anti-air and just try to deal with it. And then if the Zerg switches back to Zerglings, the Terran will still be stuck making anti-air, so that's not really going to work. This one lurker keeping the entire Iron Bot army in check, and this would be a good time for Microwave to take another base. It's not really that macro heavy, and there should be energy for a scan. These muters are quite suicidal, but Iron Bot is finding itself in a situation where it normally puts other bots in, contain. The lurker advances a little bit too far. The Zerglings are going to do quite a bit of damage, but they really can't make up their minds what they're going to kill, and they should just be pinning the enemy back to the wall, and with the muters try to kill it all. I don't know, that's a rhyme. And now the muters are coming in and doing a lot of damage, but right before they've broken the enemy, they retire, and that is so very unfortunate. Now these Zerglings, you can meet them in here, kill this vulture with the muters, but these vultures of irons are so very deadly. They outrun muters, they outrun Zerglings, and they kill all the Zerglings. Muters can't touch them. That's beautifully done by Iron. Nice, nice hold in that regard. And now this vulture is keeping into contact with these advancing links, going to kill quite a few of them, and that's always nice to have. Just if you keep into contact with the enemy, you can always know where it is, how much it's got, and if you've got a micro advantage, that is so very in your favor, like these vultures over the Zerglings thing, you are golden. Now the muters are in the main base of Terran. They aren't really committed and they are dying slowly. That's a lot of repair on this one turret. And the turret may yet fall, but no, Iron is repairing, the turret is holding, and this muter is dying on its own. So decision making wise, the muter is not really the strongest, and the drone transfer, yeah, you're not going to pass these 4 vultures, so better forget about it. Still some work to be done by Microwave, but gameplay so far okay. And now Iron is going to send 3 SUVs to here for reasons. Oh dear, that's an ugly fight, and they just don't want to attack this Valkyrie. But if you don't attack it, oh, there is 2 now. Oh, that's a lot of damage. 2 Valkyries, lots of Goliaths, and Microwave has to retreat. And again, we see an expansion without a single sunken colony. So if this vulture does find it eventually, Iron now with the 3rd base, and Iron appears to be gaining the upper hand in this game. Microwave, it's not enough. Vultures now in the natural, the anti-air of Iron Bot is too much. Yes, the Zerglings beat back the Terran. The muters are doing quite a bit of damage. And that's quite a nice counter push. But all in all, Terran is let out of the box. Iron has got 50 workers, got a small army, but it's got 3 bases. So we'll be pumping out the units quite regularly now, and Microwave still in this game. Still in this game for some reason. There is a long army train chasing one vulture, and that's really something you should try to avoid. It's just not working, and these mutas could be applied to the natural or perhaps another base. And now the Zerglings are all over this. All the Zerglings die though, and the Hydras don't want to have anything to do with that. And now, ooh, Iron's getting its natural broken. That's not good at all. The Zerglings are in there, and once the Zerglings reach your buildings, you're in for a hefty repair bill because their DPS is so great. More Zerglings coming, and that is a nicely timed push by Microwave. Iron caught off guard. The Vultures have the upper hand on the Zerglings, and the Valkyries have the upper hand on the Mutas, but there is just so much Zerg at this point, and the natural has been torn to pieces. And although Iron somehow holds the main is carved out, the third is operational, that is good. And Microwave hasn't got a fourth, so Iron is not completely out of this as well, but here come the Lings again. And although it's quite a funny way to play Minesweeper with all these Lings and Hydras, in the end there will be Lings in your base and they will be doing damage. And now the Hydras will be there as well. The main command center is under attack. The harvesting SCVs get cut down, and Microwave really exploding out on the map should really macro more, because if you can do this on 3 bases, if you've got the enemy beat like this, just take all the bases, get more stuff. But this looks to be quite decisive already, and that's a quite good victory by Microwave. I didn't know it could do that to Iron. Of course, Iron still's got this one base, but I think that Microwave's already onto it. Got a couple of... we had a couple of Scourge. Scourge Micro could be a little bit better. And now we've got these 2 mutas going up to 2 Valkyries and a couple of turrets. But here comes the ground army, and there is just nothing there. So, because we've got lots of games, hop into the next one, and it's Martin Royer's Literbot versus Forcebot. And Forcebot is by Tom Peters of the Gold Project, doing his MA thesis on, well, the goal interface and this one bot. And it's growing to be better and better with every new release. So I'm very interested to see how it's going to do. Literbot no longer one of the stronger Terrans, but it's still pretty good. It's very robust, it doesn't keel over, it doesn't crash, and it can put up a good show, so let's see what it's going to do. Now we've got a lot of Zerglings chasing these SCVs. SCV is going to be killed, and I like that. Just one sunken to be sure. Link speed nearly done. Production tab is going to be an Overlord because Forcebot is supply block. That's very unfortunate. This bunker is going to live quite handily with the repair. That's a big problem with the combat simulator. If you're going to tackle a bunker, bring more Lings. That's basically it. Especially with the repair ability of the Terrans. If you've got 3 or 4 SCVs repairing a bunker, you are going to need a lot of SCVs to kill them. But of course, SCVs, a lot of Zerglings to kill them. And wow, that's a lot of Marines by Literbot. Literbot looks like he's going for one of these hybrid pushes. Forcebot going for the lair. Let's see how far it's done. It is nearly done. And then will it be going for the Lurker upgrade. Meanwhile, stockpiling a small little army. I think that's always the good idea. Just you can't really get away with no army anymore. In the past you had these bots which used to sit back for 10 minutes and then you could get your economy going and build 100 kind of tech buildings and only then to start an army. But these days you really need a large standing army to get stuff done. This drone looks like it's stuck. Small peek at the upgrades, +1 in range for Lita. Overlord speed for Forcebot, and of course the Lurker upgrade stim done for Lita as well. And Lita is, wow, really looks like it's going for a hybrid play. And now, yeah, well, what are you thinking? Because, whoa, that's some really faulty decision making, which would have been nice were it eliminated at this stage of Forcebot's life cycle. Third base, like that. Forcebot really needs all the macro it can get. 3 versus 2 bases, no luxury, especially if you have sacrificed the entirety of your army, trying to see how well the bunkers are doing. Now Litterbot with 2 tanks, couple of marines and medics, and this army is just going to be very, very, very strong, and Forcebot still refusing to build any kind of an army. And a couple of Zerglings, and that's a lot of Overlords, and this Overlord timing might be a lot better. And here comes Litterbot, only now starting the Sunkens. That's rather late. They are somewhat operational, but the tanks there already, and these Hydras won't stop it, and these 2 Sunkens won't stop it either. And that's really a really deadly push by Litterbot. And that is something which should be taken into consideration, that if you know what kind of an army the enemy's got, you've got to have some kind of combat sim that says, well, let's prepare for something to deal with this army, were it to come in one big dangerous push down my throat, and just not try and wing it with just 12 army supply and then try to get something done. Worker balancing not really all that great. There is a lot of money in the bank, but it's just not going to work, and Litterbot's all over this. That is going to be the GG. Next game up is, oh, it's again Microwave, hello. And this time versus Thomas Weiler, the carrier bot. It's going to build a nice wall of cannons, sit behind that, and then build a lot of carriers, so no secrets there. Microwave, what's it going to do? Oh, that was really, really quickly. Going after the main with a handful of mutas, because there is just nothing here, not even a goon. And then Ximp, as the bot of Thomas Weiler is called, will be caught behind its wall of cannons, and then it can't really do much because it hasn't got the building space to get anything done over here. And it doesn't look like even a single carrier is going to be built. Oh dear, oh dear. Microwave going for a third is not going to take any chances. Meanwhile, building more mutas. Oh, there is one goon, and it will reach the safety of these cannons. But then the mutas turn back on the main base, and the main base is going to be in tatters really, really soon. Now, Microwave with a single drone transfer. That's pretty well done, building an extractor. And Microwave, we saw Cherry Pie earlier planting hatcheries all over the place. Microwave has got 3 bases, only 17 drones, and only 3 hatches. And that's also an important aspect of the macro game, that you are going to need lots of drones and lots of hatches. And we are now about 9 minutes into the game, and if you've only got 21 workers, that's not an awful lot. So please build more hatcheries, build more drones, and then you will be in a much better position to get that thing going. Ideal would be to write some kind of dynamic script that can calculate for you. Oh, that's very brave. Oh, and one muta stays flipping out in the base of the enemy, and now is going to do some more spinning. Ximp taking another main, that's good. And Microwave, what's Microwave doing? It's building a couple of workers, building a little bit of tech. Is that going to be a hatchery or a queen's nest? No, it's a nest. And it's not really fast or anything. It's got 26 army supply, and if it lets Cherry Pie, hello. If it lets Ximp go on like this, what's Ximp building at the moment? A lot of probes, and some probes are being transferred. And if you see these probes being transferred, you've got to think, well, where would these probes be going to? Could there be another base or another kind of other party we haven't been invited to? And then check it out. But no, Microwave's not really interested in that. What's Microwave building actually? It's building a lot of bit of a hive, another hatch. Oh, finally another hatch. A couple of Zerglings, and it will have forces enough to bust this base soon. Oh dear, oh dear. And Ximp going for another cannon wall, where it should be focusing on producing units, and right quick. And Microwave still on 3 bases. Oh, 4 soon, eventually, soon. Going in for some cannons, but losing a lot of mutas, but should have enough. But with the Zealot and the Goon coming out to help, Ximp is holding, and Ximp could be building. Ximp's got such a lot of money, it could be rebuilding its carrier could build its carrier fleet because it hasn't been built, and now all the cannons appear to be up for it, and rebuild one pylon or something. Or is it going to be a cannon? It's surely... it's not good at all. Oh dear, oh dear. Ximp going off the rails. 4th base operational for microwave. Drone saturation finally starting to look like something. And oh, we've got an ultra cavern and another hatch. No defiler mount. But finally this base will be overrun. And then Ximp will be reduced to this base, which has a lot of workers. 3 cannons. 5k in the bank nearly, and Ximp is just not doing anything. What's it building? Oh, it's building a single goon. Oh, that's very impressive. Microwave is just building... oh, finally we're getting some extra hatches in the main base. Could build outside of the main base, because if the main base gets dropped by 2 dropships, you may lose all of these hatches. That would be really unfortunate. Finally overrunning this base now, and Ximp is... trying to rebuild over here with another forge, and it's supply blocked, and now Microwave will have to find the enemy again. It's not really snappy, and Ximp has got 6k in the bank. Will be, yeah, GG. Okay. Next, Egbert, the Terran, and let's see, Egbert, what you are going... Oh, it's such a relief to know that's an English king, and I can just say Egbert. And Egbert, and not having to worry if it's Egbert or something Egbert. It's just Egbert. And Egbert is going for, looks like, a depot and a barracks. At the other end of the map, we've got Mate Istnik, our reliable 2013 Terran, which I'm using as some kind of a benchmark bot. Sorry, Mate, for that. But your bot is just so very stable, and, well, for those of us who have been watching this beautiful game for quite some time, is rather predictable, so it's very nice to see a new bot sharpen its claws at it. And we are going to see some kind of a bio build by Egbert, and Egbert is really confused, because if you are going to play bio versus TV in a TVT, that may not be the ideal solution, and the only good thing Egbert has going for it is that Mate Istnik is so old school that it's doing some kind of hybrid play with only a couple of mech units, and it's walling in its own command center. That's really unfortunate. But oh dear, we've got quite a nice push, and the vultures are going into this Mines of Course versus an AI microed bot. Are not the most dangerous, and I like that Egbert is not really spamming the commands. Then again, this kind of catatonic behavior might cost you the game, or probably will cost you the game. And if you do know what a tank is, you run up to here and then kill it slowly. Meanwhile, the majority of the army of Istnik is running back home. No natural yet for Egbert. Oh well, there's the natural, but it's not really saturated. I thought this was the natural, sorry about that. And the tanks live and they retire, and Istnik is doing something weird with all of the SCVs with the new command center. And this time it will have a huge influx of minerals and 2 gas at this moment where the natural command center finishes. The main army is being posted in the mineral lines for reasons best known to Istnik itself, and here comes the push of Egbert. And we've got this Stint Marine versus Stint Marines and Firebats, and if you've got this many Marines, even in a TVT, you can do quite well. We've got 5 tanks on the high ground though, and that is quite deleterious to the general health of these Marines. A couple of tanks will snuff it. The natural is going to be killed. Main is not yet getting low, so I think that Istnik can recuperate, but this bio versus tank thing is just too painful to watch. And Egbert will now have to rebuild its army. And of course, you have got 2 base income. It's going quite well, but now these 5-6 tanks are arriving at your natural choke. And basically they kill any and each marine which enters or leaves the base or barracks. Yep, there you go, more tanks popping up. And Istnik doing quite well, not rebuilding the natural at all, just going for the kill, sending over more tanks, not really producing too much from the barracks anymore. And these tanks are doing such a number on these poor Marines. And Egbert, well, you can play bio, but you should drop them or something, or just have way more. It would be nice to have the entire map just have 20, 30 barracks pumping Marines and medics and just microing their asses off and then trying to fight a mech army. That would be really glorious, but it would require a substantial amount of work to get that in some kind of shape. Main base out for... oh god, here we go again. This is really beautiful. And it will finish now, and oh god, that was really pretty. And that's a nice tank line. So I'm going to call the GG, because this broadcast is going on for way too long again. Oh, we've got microwave, and I really try to pick a lot of bots, but it turns out that I pick a game from each bot and then it's playing microwave. That's nice to watch, because microwave's pretty good. Not the best, but it can pack quite a punch. Two Marines are sticking their heads out way too far into the Zerg-infested lands. And this looks to be a fast lurker build or something. Let's have a small peek. Yep, there we go. And that's a good choice, because it's very hard to play cloaked units, especially if they are lurkers. And Madnix Terran is going, that's the bot from Andrei Kurdimov, which wasn't allowed to play random in the final, so split his bot to 3 races. Oh, and that is one ramp too far for these Marines without medics or fire bats. And now the lurkers are out of the bag. Have we got an academy yet? No, the academy is not yet done, so Madnix will be hard pressed to get that sorted. And although the Zerglings are chasing a couple of Marines over there, the lurkers are trying to chase Marines to death. That's really funny. Now approaching the natural, and it's not really the best idea to help him to try and fight down lurkers with a couple of SCVs. Comsat will be done momentarily, but then you've got to have an army and not the natural in tatters. Microwave starting another base. That's very well done. We'll have a little bit of over minerals. Could plant down another, do a double expand, especially considering the situation here in the main base. And oh dear, oh dear. The thing to do now would be to gather a little bit of energy and an army on the high ground. Try to hold the high ground. Move down from the high ground, retake your natural, and not lose too many units on the ram. That was a very brave firebat. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, nice scan, but there is no unit. So, lurker defense by Madnix could be a little bit better. Meanwhile, the lurkers are on the move, camping the production, and that's the GG. Microwave too good for... Oh, Madnix. Oh, we've got Madnix Protoss now. That's very good. I wanted to see that. And I thought, well, let's not have a game with Microwave. Or I didn't think that, but it turns out that I didn't pick Microwave for a change. Scouting drone. Ooh, taking 3 probes for a ride. That's good. That's a lot of mining time lost. Zerglings being caught by the chasing by this. Now they're all hunting the front one. And if you speed them up like that, it's even kinkier to see them all going at each other. And that's not really what you'd like to be doing with your Zerglings. Geobot really in some kind of a fix. Has got a lot of money as well. Oh, finally they get unstuck, and that's hopefully going to be the natural or in another location because it's not really safe. Oh, then again, that's quite enough Zerglings to deal with a couple of Zealots. And Madnix is sticking to the 2-gate. What Morris is going to do, build probes, pylons and pellets. Or Zealots, but didn't really alliterate as well. And Gia dealing with the neutral minerals. That's good. Could take this relatively safe mineral only. Would be another hatchery and some mineral income. Always a good idea. Might sneak in a couple of workers once this natural's done. Because Madnix is going to be fighting Zerglings with Zealots. And the Zealots can be quite cost efficient. And then again, also very inefficient if you haven't got the +1. But versus a 7-worker Zerg, wow, that's really scraping by. 7 workers, handful of Zerglings. Just try to do it. Mine out the back minerals, but what are you going to do with only 6 workers now? Hello. 6 workers and try to outfight a Zergling versus Zealot battle with only 6 workers. That's really ballsy, and it's a good thing that these Zealots are too stupid to fight, otherwise Zerg would be in a huge mess. And these Zerglings are basically approaching unhindered. Oh, now finally the Zealots are starting to fight, but they're at their own ramp, and the Zerglings now entering the base. Oh dear, oh dear. Have you got anything in production? Yeah, 2 Zealots, but that's really not enough. And Geobot building some more workers, or more workers, a little bit less workers, I should say. And that's the Hydra Den. That's really a scrappy build order, but taking down all the workers, and the Zealots just don't fight anymore. Matt Mix keeling over. GG. No, I don't want to look for an app in the store. Please play me Nightcat Terran versus Zekbirth. Oh yeah, Zergbirth it is. Because Xavier, or Javier I should say also, oh Xavier, it's probably the most English thing I can come up with, has also made a Zergbot. So let's look at what it does. We've got 4 Zerglings, and the next units are going to be... Oh, we've got 4 drones I meant to say, and the next units are going to be Zerglings. So for now, Zergbirth is going to be a 4-pool Zerg. We didn't really have enough of those already, so... And... okay, the Zergling Micro could be a little bit better. Now there is 1 Marine in the bunker, all the SCVs coming off the line, lots of SCVs lost. 2 Marines in the bunker now, and the second barracks will be up momentarily too. So Nightcat should be okay with 7 workers left. But that was quite a lousy fight. Now Zergbirth going just building... Oh, we'll build a drone, so it's going to transition, looks like. Yeah, that's a very good idea. Very hard to transition out of a 4-pool, but if you kill about half the enemy workers and some of its marines, you might be in an okay position. Question is, well, you could run around this. It's not really hard to do, but it's hard to make a small map of this base and say, well, this area you'd better not come, and this area it can cover. So we could enter the ramp, sneak by here, take the way round the back and hit the Zerglings. That would be really pro and very useful. Unfortunately, as StarCraft AIs are not really doing it, and Zergbirth has now got 6 workers and has continued its Zergling production and is going for another hatchery. And it will then be building more Zerglings. But it's not just a 4-pool, I like that. If you are going to start a new race, just not build a 4-pool only, just build some kind of a transition. Even if the transition is to have another hatchery. And then you should sneak in a couple of drones more, build another hatchery, take a natural, build defilers and take over the world. And meanwhile, it can hold Nightcat at bay quite well. Nightcat's got 25 workers, but hardly any army, because the army is being positioned over here, which is, well, how shall we put it, contested territory. And these medics are going to die as well, and they're going to live. And it can only be hoped that Nightcat can, with a couple of Marines on the high ground, with Stim and a couple of medics, now finally hold its own ramp. And what Zergbirth going to do is just going to build more Zerglings. Oh god, that's awful. So Nightcat seems to have this, has got control of the ramp, has got this Stim M&M thing going on, building a natural, so Nightcat looking to be golden. Zergbirth has got a backup plan, but it's just not good enough at this point to beat Nightcat. And there we go. Nice concave, some tanks for suppressing fire. And Zergbirth is going for more and more Zerglings. And finally comes the death push. Yeah. Try stopping that with just Zerglings. Would be a challenge for TSMU or something for Cherry Pie, but would be hard to do. So let's talk about Lucas Moravec, who no one ever saw in chat, but is using the our server as some kind of a test ground. Lots of votes for Lucas Moravec, but he's been updating his bot quite regularly, so that's always fun to watch. And now it's going to play an old friend from the Zerg vs Zerg finals of last year's tournament, Marian Diveka's Killerbot. And Killerbot is looking to go for some quick Zergling aggression. Got 8 Zerglings, and behind that take another base. So that, I think that's valid. Nice concave, nice SimCity, I mean, by Lucas Moravec. Just one cannon, that's... Might build another one if you're going to play Forge first. Oh, well, that must be a really dangerous building. It gets cancelled, luckily, at the cost of some Zergling blood. And Lucas appears to be in a good shape to be taking its natural. So, what can we say about Killerbot? Killerbot does not believe in having no army and doesn't believe in scraping by with just a couple of drones. Already equaling Protoss in workers. Protoss has only got 1 Nexus, so we'll be catching up there momentarily. But you can see that Killerbot is always building a couple of units just to keep into contact with the enemy. You know what it's... what's coming to come at you, what the enemy's got when its forces are moving out. And just build a couple of more hatches for good measure and protect them. That's always a very good thing to do. Meanwhile, building a small amount of Zerglings, could build a couple more, because now you can see these units are coming, and then you just morph your creep colonies into Sunkens. Might be a little bit more to the right here, but so far so good. Will we have the we have the +1 air weapons for Lucas Moravec? I don't know what that's about. And only a handful of Zerglings. So build order wise, Lucas, either something very brilliant is coming up or something very strange. We'll see what it is. Oh, we've got a Corsair. That's always nice. Hydra speed coming up from Killer. And Killer is sort of supply blocked, so how many workers can you build? This Corsair army of 2 has got this Overlord threat well under control. Losing quite a bit of Corsairs though, that's really not the best way to do it. This one Hydra's already killed a Corsair and is looking to kill its next one soon too. And if this third one isn't very careful, it will be dead as well, but now it's over the cliff. And Killerbot is still supply blocked. Still supply blocked, lots of money in the bank, lots of building, Overlords. And Reaver and Corsairs. Oh, okay, that is looking good. Because this Zerg army outside of the gates is getting dangerous, but we've got the shuttle with a Reaver, and that's something that Zerglings don't really agree with. Oh, that was a really ugly Scarab hit, at least from a Zerg perspective. The Protoss must have been very, very glad with that indeed. And another big one. Oh, that's glorious. So that's really playing in Bulldog style with some Zerglings on foot. And the artillery in the rear doing some massive damage with the Scarabs. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's glorious. And that's a 2 base. So, yeah, looking good there. Killerbot has got the 4th base started up. But now 2 Reavers, and that's very hard to kill. Look at all the damage. And one is going to fall. Yeah, it is. And now the Zealot is going to be chased away as well. But that's just very hard to deal with as a Zerg, because everything is so vulnerable. And that is quite a number of drones lost already. You should give it some time to fire. So some kind of a cooldown before picking it up again would be appreciated. And then if you've only got 10 HP left, don't try to do that again. Oh dear, oh dear. This Reaver must be really trigger happy, or have got a quick finger on the trigger, because this shuttle is really obnoxiously fast in picking it up. Meanwhile, what's happening? 3rd base being taken for Lucas, and more Overlords being killed. How many Corsairs it's got? Oh wow, it's got 2 starports, so that's a lot of Corsairs, and even if the occasional Corsair dies, Killerbot is really struggling to get any kind of non-supply block situation coming to pass. And I don't know what these Corsairs are doing over here. They must have grown silly, or I don't know. And these shuttles with Reavers are really They should really give the Reavers some time. Give us a chance, they say. Well, we need to fire. Oh, no, no worry, I'm going to pick you up. But once they are dropped, they easily dispel this Hydra threat. And if only by their mere presence on the battlefield, these two Hydras are killing quite a number of probes. But in the end, it's going to be quite alright. The Corsairs have fallen silent somewhat, and that's strange to see because they were doing so well earlier. And now Killabot has got 5 bases, and if there is one thing you should not do with Killabot, is let it get to 5 bases, because I don't really care. Oh, well, I do care how many Reavers and Shuttles you've got, because at the moment 2 seems to be quite enough to stem all the Hydra attacks coming in at this point. Now the Hydras are trying to fight for what they are worth versus this relentless Reaver threat of, oh, one Reaver gets snuffed. A couple of Corsairs get snuffed as well, and this Shuttle now on the back foot. The Reaver gets killed, the Shuttle gets killed, yes, as well, and Killabot starting its 6th base, and now you're really in some kind of an ugly mess. You need to have storms from the high ground to be able to save this. This is a lot of Hydras, and the Corsairs have fallen silent or disappeared or have been killed. And that's really unfortunate. Oh, there is one Reaver coming, and it's going to have to kill quite a number of Hydras, and now it dies. And that's unfortunate. So, a nice try, nice build order by Lucas Moravec, but I feel that in its marrow, it isn't really the killer that Killabot, for example, is. And you can do cute things, but in the end, you've got to be more than cute to win a brutal matchup like PvZ. And this assimilator, oh wow, that's a lot of Hydras. That is such a lot of Hydras. How many Hydras have we got? We've got 114 Hydras, and that's the GG. Next up, we have got Proto-Egbert. Protect Bird. No, I don't know. Egbert Protoss it is. And what's it going to do? And I'm glad I'm able to cast a replay, because in-game it's got some weird kind of building order placement thing which causes it to slow down substantially. And this game in real time would have taken about 500 years to play. And these zealots, you can easily take down 2-3 Marines. Please go, just... some teething problems with the combat simulator. Meanwhile, going for a 3-gate, which is a good build. And let's not bother about this SCV too much. Meanwhile, the Zealots are on the warpath, and Marakadik is not really the strongest Terran. The Marines are not fighting at all. The Zealots aren't fighting at all. What a captivating match this is. More Marines will be built to not fight, and the Zealots... Oh, the Zealots started it this time, and they are finishing it too, because the Marines are just not enough to... deal with the 5-6 Zealots. And more Zealots coming. What have we? More gateways and no gas. So very basic, but it is a start. And of course a Zealot build is pretty powerful. These Zealots do a lot of damage. No Vulture micro at all means dead Vultures, because there are so many Zealots. And it's just going to be about pylons, gateways, and that is the GG. Next game will be Mad Mix Zerg versus Giabot. And Mad Mix Zerg all thought, well, let's have a look at it. And Gia, of course, is quite good. A little bit unstable, but it's quite good. And Gia, wow, Gia, what are you going to do? Chasengook, where are you? Would like to see an update of that. Mad Mix going for Poo with a sunken in the main base, in the natural as well. Couple of Zerglings, and it looks like Giabot is doing a 7 Poo kind of thing, where it will save up a bit of workers, build speed, Zerglings, and then send them over in a wave. Mad Mix Zerg is going for some Zerglings, not really saving them up, just sending them out on the map. Going for a Hydra Den. What's it building? Drones. Good unit, the drone, and this Zergling thing is really getting out of control. So if you haven't got the Sunkens or the units to stop it, it's 13.5 versus 6.5 army supply with 1 Sunken. And the Zerglings and the Hydra of Madnix are not engaging in the festivities, not partaking in the feast, and that means you'll be at the receiving end of a gnawing to death by these Zerglings of Giabot. Well, Gia going for the kill, that's the GG, no more workers, no more money, and that's the win. And in this game before last, before I conclude this broadcast of this week's recommended and by me selected games, it's Sparks by McRave, and McRave is, well, of course the Protoss is sadly lacking still. I really miss it because it's so good and it can storm pretty well. So I would really like to see that more often, and the Terran and the Zerg, if they get stormed a bit, they might do something about that. So it might really get this Brood War AI development into overdrive, but well, if the coders have got time. But at least we've got Sparks, and Sparks is pretty good as well, and it's being updated, so I thought, well, let's see what it's going to do. Going for a lot of Marines, then going for the Natural Command Center. Nuzbot is going for what looks like to be a bit of goon pressure. Have we got a goon range? No, we haven't. So that's a strange kind of goon pressure, and that can be very effective. If you've got good goon micro and goon range, you can do quite a bit with that in the early game. And that's a very nice SimCity by Sparks. Sparks got the natural up, building a factory, building a starport. Might build a little bit more, it's got some over mineral, but also building a lot of workers. So if it can hold this one bunker, and due to the SimCity and the repair, it certainly could. It is going to be a bit of a threat in the late game. Oh, now we've got goon range, but it's not really being used at the moment. Oh dear, the barracks lifted. That was a bit of a googloo. Where is it gone to? Oh, it's now hovering over here. Note to self, if situation is somewhat like heavy pressure, don't lift your half of your wall to let all kinds of undesirable Protoss in. Nuzbot now going for the natural, no worker transfer, no probes being built. And the Singaporese bot is really something, but it could do with a couple of updates to get a little bit better. Third base by Sparks, and Sparks really taking its sweet time, getting by with only 20 army supply, and most of that in Marines. But this bunker is still very well placed and is doing a lot of damage with the repair. Oh, what the... that's a funny build. Defense of the natural choke into battle cruisers, or at least one battle cruiser. And by the looks of it, more battle cruisers coming up. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Battle cruisers and Marines. And that... I actually wonder if battle cruiser versus goon makes any kind of sense, because goons are quite large and clunky, and battle cruisers, if you've got 3 of them, 4 of them, they might do quite well. And let's see how things are going with some repair. They can do quite a bit of damage, and there aren't all that many goons anyway, so that might actually work with the repair underneath. They do 75. We've got 3 battle cruisers, so each shot they do 75 ground damage, and they've got quite a high frequency of fire, so that might be very beautiful. Will we see more? Yep, we will see more. And if they get some upgrades, will we have? Yeah, of course, we've got 2 air upgrades. That's just a fun build by McRave, but it's in this game at least, it's somewhat effective. As these battle cruisers, we've got 3, 4, 5 battle cruisers now. They should be grouped together a little bit. And then these goons really have some kind of a problem. But the third base is being started by Nuzbot. And Sparks is, well, going for Yamato as well. Oh god, what is this game going to be like? Infantry and battle cruisers and Yamatoing Yamatoing, what are they called again? The goons. So I'm quite happy that I took this game. And although it's not really a very serious upgrade by Christian McRae, Sparks with battlecruisers and Marines, I think I could get used to watching this because the goons really don't stand a chance. If you stop and fight the Marines, the battlecruisers will come over the top. If you shoot at the battlecruisers, the Marines will savage you, and then in the rear there are these SCVs which are repairing the battlecruisers. So this is a very underestimated build, and I can see it be quite successful. We'll have to keep an eye on the stream to see if Sparks is doing this versus every opponent, but I think that I am convinced. Still, battlecruisers being built and nothing else at the moment. And we've got 75 Marine, 57 Marines I think it's called, and 10 battlecruisers. And what can Nussbot, what can it do? Its main is mined out, the third base is leveled, and oh wow. This is absolutely brilliant. Some Marines being built, and this is a pretty nice concave. Oh, or is it a transfer? I can't really say. But the main base is going bust. And although I like seeing this, I'd much rather see it versus a stronger opponent, which will perhaps show next week. Going into the last match of today, and I must confess it's not really two of the best bots, because we started with the best bots at the start of this broadcast. But I thought, well, let's take a gamble, let's see if these two old antagonists, Hannes Bradberg and Brian Weber, what they can do to entertain us. And of course, Hannes is still the nuke bot, and Weber is growing into an okay Zerg, so that's good. Might do with a little bit of, well, more betterness, but for the time being it's quite okay. And Bradberg is going to do its Marine thing. So for the near future, Weber should be okay. No, oh, we've got Hydra range coming up and lots of drones, so heavy on infrastructure. And the Marines by Bradberg are not really they don't really want to fight these Hydras. Only when they reach their own base, and then they kill them quite nicely. So for the time being, with a 2-base economy and 4-5 barracks, I think that Bradberg can hold this. And there are going to be Sunkens, so oh, lots of Sunkens, that's pretty well done. And a worker transfer, so Weber is doing okay. Hannes Bradberg finally built some medics, thank God. That was such a pain to watch, all these Marines without medics dying everywhere. And of course, if you are going for medics, the chances of you eventually reaching the stage where you can nuke the enemy are substantially higher than if you do not use medics. Now, Weber, what's it doing? It's got 3 bases, it's got lots of Sunkens, it's got lurkers, but it's not really looking like it's attacking. Oh, these oh god, even though the scans go off, these lurkers are doing so much damage versus these poor Marines. And oh dear, the scans run out, and then the entire bio army is skewered from below, and they don't like it up, apparently, because they're all dead. Haha. And now the lurkers are on the move, and we could really do with a good nuke or two, but I think that Brian Weber, if things go on like this, will have too many lurkers momentarily, and just will just overrun Bradberg's positions. Lots of Sunkens, I like that. And trying to claim this base, but unfortunately Bradberg had that idea a little bit sooner. Now lurkers on the high ground. Oh, and the Marines. No, they come back for more. Oh dear. And there comes the first ghost, but the ghost is going to be secured again. And well, you can play sounds on this on the server. You can upload them into your bot somehow. So you could take that quote of old Jonesy. They don't like it up 'em. They don't like it up 'em. There we go again. Poor ghost, yeah, and then scan when the ghosts are dead. That's not how you do it. But Bradberg taking a lot of bases all over the map. So perhaps we will get to see a couple of nukes soon. Still got quite a substantial army, and the lurkers, where are the lurkers? There are 3 lurkers here, but otherwise Weber's army is relatively puny, and it's building a lot of drones, and it's got 6 army supply and 3k in the bank. Could do with a lot of extra hatcheries and not quite as many workers at this stage. So meanwhile, these oh well, if you are not going to defend this, the Sankans may die, and then we won't get to see a nuke. Well, I'm going to... Oh god, there is so much being produced, all kinds of infantry units, SCVs, and the occasion. I'll keep it on this one, because here I can see as well if there is a nuke or not. The 3 lurkers are over here. They are mulling about a bit. They're not really doing anything useful, because the main battle's being fought over here. And if you had 3 lurkers here, it would be pretty good. Drones being pulled, that's okay. But still, you've got 5k in the bank, you've got no army at all, you've got only 3 larvae and 3 lurkers and 1 ultra. 1 ultra, that's good. And now these marines have grown silly. Oh, there we go! Nuke landed. And I thought, what were these marines doing? And now 2 ultras. Yeah, you can spend a lot of money, but you haven't got the gas anyway. You are going to need more hatches. And then just build... Oh, here comes another hatch. Finally, 1. You're going to need more hatches, and then just keep your lurkers. These lurkers are really being a major pain over here. But, unless they're going to occupy this spot over here, they're not going to be too useful. Although their kill count must be really considerable, and if TSCMU and Im42 could find the time to give me a unit portrait with a kill counter, that would be very much appreciated. Because in these silly AI games, the number of kills a single unit can rack up is tremendous. And now I'm going to have to fight hard with myself to know where the nukes are going to be launched. And this 1 ultra, it's so sturdy, but there are infantry upgrades for Terran, so they won't have the eternal life. And this nearly maxed army of our Bradberg is roaming the map. Oh, because there is 1 Zergling attacking its nuclear silo, and, well, you could repair it, of course. Might be an idea. Oh well, never mind. Not that important anyway. And these 3 lurkers, oh, finally. Oh, there are 2. Oh, 1's here still. Are now reaching the 3rd base, I think it is. The ultras are taking down this base while the main army is going on a tour of the map. We have no nukes left for reasons, because the main army of Terran is doing so many stupid things, and it's basically always where the army is not. And it's only good that, for Terran at least, that Brian Weber is not building more lurkers, because the army of Brian Weber is huge. It's about as large as the Zerg army, and these ultras are really doing the works. They've got quite decent upgrades, +3 armor, speed, ultra armor, and +2 attack is starting. +3 armor is not yet done completely, but these ultras will be pretty tough, and you can see it by the amount of damage they are able to absorb. These 2 lurkers are still alive, and although they've got some, they've gotten stuck over here. Oh no, they've gotten unstuck just now. Might be a good idea to build more lurkers. And Weber is now maxed, has got 85 workers. My god, that's quite a lot. This ultra is now stuck. Oh, it's unstuck. Oh dear. I should be careful. I shouldn't be too quick with saying a unit is stuck, because that hasn't been working for me this game. And Bradberg is going to fall. So, quite a good game after all, although without too many nukes. And seeing an ultra train like this is just so impressive. And what's being built? Well, basically buildings and drones. And we've got 2 lurkers, 40 hydras, 16 ultras, and a handful of zerglings. 16 ultras. Where are they? A couple of them here. Oh, a couple of them there as well. And that's a nice place to build a depot. So, oh, and by the light blue color, looks like Brian Weber ran out of something or keeled over and left the game. So Bradberg wins after all. I say thank you for watching and listening. This was the Student StarCraft AI Tournament weekly broadcast. Thank you again, and hope to see you again next week.